I'm gonna start just thanking you for being here. I know your schedule is really busy, so I think it's a treat, and our students are really going to enjoy that. All right, so first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then a little bit about your organization?
Okay, so like just be personal and then go into my job. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah. You can
okay?
say a little bit about uh, KDAC as well.
KDA, KDKA.
KDKA. Sorry, my brain is not working now. Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
To just kind of go off. Okay.
Oh, sure.
I have been in Pittsburgh, I want to say, for the last almost 4 years. And I've worked at WPXI for almost a year when I first came to the city. And then I found another opportunity. So I jumped over to KDKA, and that's where I've been since. So yeah, we lived in Pittsburgh. And I started out, so do you want me to go like way back, or just kind of like my time here in Pittsburgh?
You can say just your time. I was looking at your LinkedIn earlier today, and you have had quite the experiences.
LinkedIn, I'll be honest, I am not good on LinkedIn. It's very old, and I haven't updated it. So it's funny you say that, because I'm like, you know what? I never use LinkedIn, and honestly,
Yeah.
it really
Affected your networking.
Yeah, it hasn't impacted my field, to be honest with you. It hasn't helped me progress personally. It was just more of something I have out there as a professional thing. But yeah, so here for 4 years in Pittsburgh, I started out as a reporter. I worked my way up, not just at Channel 11, but now at Channel 2. And I went from like a reporter, and then at KDKA also reporter, fill-in anchor, and then an anchor. And then within the last week, I got promoted to KDKA morning anchor. So it's been quite a ride. Yeah, thanks. It's just been wild. It's been a dream come true. And I think it's just a lot of it's just a combination of like working hard, never giving up, and just really keeping my eye on the goal.
That's fantastic. I just wanted to ask, just like a lot of times our students, even though they're coming into the field, may have some misconceptions of what media looks like, or what working in media looks like. What, in your estimation, are the biggest misconceptions about media as a field?
I think some of the biggest misconceptions are that when we are in this field, some automatically think that we are putting our personal opinion, putting our personal agenda, and when reality is that we are reporting or delivering what we've been given, and that is mostly, you know, from law enforcement, government officials, experts in various fields, whether it be health or a nonprofit or things like that. So all of the information we have is not biased. It is truly what we're given and what we uncover. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that some assume that we're just kind of giving what we feel like giving, and that is not the case. And we also focus more on local. I think a lot of people also believe, oh, we are CBS, so you must be just reporting strictly with CBS. Well, I mean, yes, we are a CBS station, but we are not a national CBS. So we are Pittsburgh, we are local, we are Western Pennsylvania, and that's who we cater to. So I think a lot of people assume that like, oh, well, you're just working and you're doing, you know, news and stories for all these other areas. And if they don't understand, like, well, we're not, doesn't work like that. You're not going to go live on Nora O'Donnell's show anytime soon, you know, in the evening. So I think those are kind of the biggest ones.
Yeah, and actually kind of going off of that, can you just talk a little bit about what it means to work at more like the local level, and what kind of what you get from that? Is it rewarding? What are some of the benefits? What are some of the drawbacks from that kind of a scope?
I think first off, it's very powerful to know that thousands are watching us, whether it's online or on TV, that they're getting information from you.
Mhm.
So it's definitely one of those moments where you're like, wow, I mean, we are helping people understand what's going on in their community. And that's something you can't get anywhere else. You can't go to yahoo.com and get that. You can't go to MSNBC or Fox News. I mean, there's strictly your local TV station. And that is just incredible to me to know that people are tuning in to say, you know what, that's where I live. That's really impactful. And, you know, I don't think people realize sometimes how, you know, we can go into different neighborhoods, small or large. If it's impacting them, you know, we certainly report it, whether it be road construction or unfortunately a shooting or something family related, right? So, I mean, it is rewarding. As you said, it certainly is rewarding. It's different every day because you don't know what you're getting. But I think that's what also makes it so exciting, is because it is different every day. And it really is, you could be changing lives.
So it's interesting when you said it's different every day. Is there anything, so there is no typical day for your position. In general, how do you handle that? And if there are like repeating responsibilities, what does that kind of look like in your day? Like when you wake up, what do you expect?
Well, I mean, the basics are there, right? So like I go into work like anybody else. I have a desk, and then we have a meeting like a Zoom, right? And we talk about what's happening in our show. What are we covering? Who's where? How are we doing it? And that sort of thing. So we have teams, and we talk about who's going to what scene and whatever it may be. And then as an anchor, you know, I'm preparing myself, reading through all my scripts so that I know what I'm talking about and that I can easily inform our viewers when that time comes. So that's the same, right? But what's different is the news is different every day. It could be, you know, news that will take you to places you've never been before, right? As a reporter or a photographer, and that's exciting. But what's also different is like the topics are different every day. They're not necessarily the same, and the areas are different. I mean, even like national news can be impactful locally. International news can be impactful locally. And that's pretty cool. But so those types of things, like, yes, I sit at a desk and I read, but the stories are different all the time. And, you know, it's like one day where I could be talking about, you know, a major road construction. And the next day I could talk about a bridge collapse, you know, I mean, that is, and people are watching and depending on me. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of responsibility. But, you know, I think it takes like a special person to handle those types of situations. But it's very invigorating. It's something that it's very unique. I will put it that way.
So you said it takes a special person. What skills do you think a person needs to succeed in media, and specifically in your position?
Well, you have to like people. You have to like people. You have to enjoy talking to people. That is huge. I mean, even though I'm not in the field like I was, I'm still interacting with people. I'm still, you know, calling people or meeting people or going to events. Like, you have to want to be sociable. I mean, that's first and foremost. The other is, I think you just have to really love getting into situations and types of events that are just so kind of like random and off the cuff. And I mean by that, like, you could be reporting or handling a story and then get changed immediately. Yes, it can be stressful, but it can be so exciting. And I think that's what, like, you know, a journalist, whether it's even newspaper, radio, because we all go to the same things a lot of times. Like, it's the very same. I just think it takes a special person that, like, this is not, you come in, you sit at a desk 9 to 5, 5 o'clock rolls around, you leave for the day, see you tomorrow. Like, it doesn't work that way. And, you know, if you want that, that's fine. But with news, it's very fluid for sure.
And it just seems like you need to be able to be comfortable adapting, certainly.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, that takes time. Like, no 21, 22-year-old. I would tell you what, when I was 21 and you threw me in front of a camera, I wasn't as nearly as smooth as I am now. I mean, like any profession, it takes time. It takes
Mhm.
time to grow, and you learn from your mistakes, and you move up and you progress, and you have great teachers, you have great coaches in your life. And
Mhm.
that's with any job. Like, you should always look for ways to improve so you can continually get ahead. And, that's certainly the same here. And I mean, I certainly have changed and grown over the years.
Yeah. And speaking of changing and growing, we always like to, on our professional panel series, ask about how the pandemic changed your business, changed how you work. Have you noticed things changing since 2020?
For sure. I mean, some of our interviews, we do Zoom.
Mhm.
Whether people are just not in the office anymore. So if you want to make an interview, you can't always go there. The best way is just to do this, and that is virtually. So that is a huge one. We're seeing a lot of interviews that aren't necessarily in person like we used to before. Also, just the way I think just communicating with even authorities and other people in general. It really goes back to people work from home a lot now. So that is huge. And not just people who are people you're looking to interview, but even just talk to, get information, and that sort of thing. A lot of it's more like getting paperwork, or, where you would used to be able to physically get it, you get it by email, things like that nature. Also, there's so much more of an emphasis on digital media, and what we do goes hand in hand. Like, I do a lot of online work in addition to on TV.
Mhm.
And so that has definitely played a huge role. Like, we really push, their website, because we get it, not everybody is, necessarily at home certain times, because of the pandemic, their schedule has changed.
Yeah. And when you're saying you're creating online content, is that specialized? Like, have you changed the format of some of the reporting, or is it taking more clips and highlight reels and putting it into the digital space?
I would say that, like, okay, so if a reporter goes live at 6, that whole live piece is posted on the website immediately. But reporters, and even at times anchors, are responsible to provide additional video clips, whether that's them on the scene, Facebook Live,
Yeah.
whether that's video, or maybe interviewing somebody on scene and then saying, hey, I'll have more from, Bobby Sue out here in Dormont, and I'll tell you what more she had to say in her 6 o'clock newscast. So it's sort of teased too, but it also provides additional content, because you're allotted more time that way online than what you would be in a traditional newscast.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I want to be cognizant of your time, but I really do want to ask, just like what is your pieces of practical advice for someone starting out in your field? Somebody who wants to break in. All of our IUP students are looking to do what you're doing right now.
First and foremost, be patient. I mean, you're not going to make it to a Today Show anchor gig at 22 years old. That's just not going to happen. So I think just really be patient, be mindful of where you're going. And what I mean by that is, just take chances, take risks. Those who are in media have worked in newsrooms all across the country. And I've done news in other states myself before I came, to Pittsburgh, which is close to home. So I think just be patient, take risks. Don't be afraid to do something that isn't totally comfortable, because it will only make you better in the long run. I don't want to say just well-rounded, but you'll have stronger skills, broader skills, I think will be more desirable to managers. But I also just think, show who you are in your personality. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about being in media, is like a lot of times you get to show hints and tastes of who you are. And that's one of the reasons why I keep going, is because who I am on TV is who I am in person. And what other job can you do that? And it's just phenomenal. It's awesome.
That's great. I mean, it's great talking to you. Is there anything that we've left out that you want to address to our students?
Not really, just more or less like journalism, local journalism is important. And biggest thing, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll just watch NBC News, or I just watch MSNBC, or I'm not always around to watch local news. And I'm like, well, you're not getting your news it's truly impactful locally, at a national network. So I just want to emphasize that local journalism is important. It needs to stay alive. It needs to continue to thrive. And if you want to not just be informed locally, but to seek justice, we talk about that, to find out what's truly right in your neighborhood. No one's going to back you more and help inform you more than your local media. So, just don't forget those little tidbits. Like, there's a lot of power locally, and to be a part of that, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. It was great to meet you, Lindsay. You were right about being a people person. That was such a blast talking to you.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I mean, you gotta do this. You gotta love doing this, and that's why anytime IUP has asked me, I've spoken at numerous events, classes, whatever. I'm very involved with the comm media department because, I want to give a realistic approach, but I also want to share my experience because, I think sometimes people just don't know what the job is like. They don't know. How do you know? You're just in a class all day for 4 years. So I think, there's just, it's great if somebody's willing to show you, hey, this is what it's like. This is what you'll go through, the good and the bad. Yeah. But in the end, it could be really for you. So